It is the year 2472, and the Earth has suffered a great calamity. Hundreds of years of popular culture have vanished. Without the sacred films and text for guidance, civilization is devoid of anything cool. Then, 3 incubation chambers are unearthed, and from within, men from the time of the great blockbusters emerge. Now, through highly interesting conversations, they share invaluable insight about what once was. The movies, the shows, the comics, toys, and books. This is
The Hyperspace.
Podcasting in the 25th century.
Welcome in, podcast pioneers, to the hyperspace. Podcasting in the 25th century, the interwebs first and still only podcast. My name's Matt.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Mike.
Hi, Mike.
How's it going, Mike?
How you doing?
Fine. How are
Was
you?
was a tube cleaning day? Your tube looks very clean.
Yes.
I always
Got
get
my-
strange looks when I talk about my clean tube.
Your tube's
Well-
clean. Look at yours. You got that mirror finish on the floor.
Yes,
It's pretty nice.
I know. Yeah, it's hard. It's upkeep on this is hard.
Yeah,
Think about throwing some area rugs down.
it's a good call. What's up, guys?
This may be our last show of 2021,
Yeah, I think it is, actually. I think you're right.
In the old calendar.
as it's measured in the old calendar. Yes, of course. That doesn't mean the hyperspace is going anywhere. We are taking a little bit of a break for the Christmas and New Year's holiday, but we're still going to be giving you stuff.
Like what?
Well, we are unfreezing the Carbonite Chronicles.
Yes!
We're like Princess Leia flipping the switch on the carbonite slab. We're unfreezing that particular batch of...
Why would we do that?
Well, because we've got a new Star Wars show coming up here in a few weeks called The Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
And we are going to be giving you a breakdown episode for all 7 episodes that they air. So the hyperspace, while the regular shows will not be weekly, we will be weekly on the Book of Boba Fett, the Carbonite Chronicles.
That'd be fun. I can't wait for that. That'd be a good one.
It's going to be hopefully some good conversations. But yeah, we just wanted to give you guys a heads up that this will be the last regular episode of 2021.
We keep threatening to do the one chip challenge also, don't forget.
And that is going to be a live streamed show at a date to be announced.
Yeah,
And-
that'd be fun. That'd be an early 2022 treat for everybody.
Yes, Mike
I
is
don't know if it'll
going
be a
to...
treat. Treat? Is treat the right word?
Well, if you talk to Mike about it, it's definitely not a treat. And Mike is going to be abstaining, and he's going to be monitoring us.
Kind of calling the play-by-play, maybe.
Sure.
Also, I'll be standing by with the number of the paramedics.
I mean, as much as Mike can monitor us and our well-being from hundreds and hundreds of miles away, since that's how we do this show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I can't say I'm looking forward to that particular show, but
Yeah.
it'll be a new experience for
I
sure.
think so, too.
I have a quick question.
Oh, what's your question, Mike?
Why did you already take your lights down?
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I did, didn't I? You calling me out on my lights?
Well, I think we probably know why. Whoa! They're back! And so are the weird knockings at his tube door.
Oh, yeah, come on. It's the 25th century pineapple, folks. Look it up.
Man.
Okay, so lights are back up. I'm still in the You're right. This is still in the holiday season here. They should have been up the whole time. You're right. So, guys, it was funny. I wanted to talk about something tonight because it got me thinking the other day. I was going through the archives of YouTube,
Yes.
and I'm a huge, like so many people, I'm a huge fan of like a good movie trailer. I feel that that's an art form that is just not nearly as recognized as it should be. I think it should have an Academy Award dedicated just for itself because A good trailer gets the audience into the theater. A good trailer gets you excited for the movie. And a good trailer can spoil a movie for you too. And sometimes the trailer can be too good and the movie can just suck. And,
True.
There was one trailer in particular that I was really super jazzed on. And I thought actually it was one of my favorite trailers when it came out. It still is, I think, a good trailer. And that was for the original Suicide Squad that came out 6 years ago.
Yeah,
And,
something like that.
I remember watching the Suicide Squad trailer and thinking, God, man, this movie's going to be amazing. I cannot wait. Cannot wait for this movie. And when I saw it in the theater, it absolutely was awful. And I remember thinking to myself, this is my fault. This is my fault because I built myself up and I believed in that trailer that this movie was going to be so good. And it wasn't. It just was awful. It was a big letdown. But it got me thinking today about movies that I kind of went in with low expectations and were blown away by. So it's like the polar, same side of the same coin, right? So I'm just curious today, what kind of movies had big buildups for you that maybe were a big letdown, and what movies just absolutely blew you away? Maybe you didn't have any expectations. Maybe you had high expectations and they met them. But I'm just, like to have just a free for all. What movies just, let you down, and what movies were just amazing?
We've talked about this a little bit before, and
We touched on it.
Yeah. For me, something that stands out immediately is Galaxy Quest.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I thought the trailer was pretty terrible.
I don't even remember the trailer.
Yeah. Well, if you go back and watch the trailer, you're like, man, there's no way I'm going to go watch Tim Allen in this sci-fi comedy.
Was he still doing Home Improvement at that time?
I believe so. It came out in 1999. So I think he was still doing that. But the trailers were really bad. And then, I was drugged to the movie by my wife. And we all know Galaxy Quest is a classic now.
Absolute gem.
But yeah, I think that stands out to me. Just on what you're saying, that trailers that did not represent their film well. I don't think Galaxy Quest was well served by its trailer, but it now, like I said, rightly has its place in the annals of nerddom.
Yeah. Oh my God, totally. That's a movie I regret not seeing in the theater. I just that was one of the things I just saw later on cable. I think I didn't even see it on I think I saw it on broadcast. I didn't even see it on HBO. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, this movie's so good. How could this have gone outside my radar for so long and not seen it?
Yeah.
And it's such a good movie. But you're right, that's a perfect example. Example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it was funny because I thought the same thing. I think, in fact, we must have spoken about Galaxy Quest because I remember you told me you had seen it, and I was thinking, why? And you're like, no, it's really good. And you actually took me. We went to see it, and yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really great.
Yeah, it's one of those rare movies that I just didn't see coming, and it's like once I saw it, I was like,
trailer.
Yeah,
I can't even remember. I'd have to watch the trailer again. I can't even remember what it is about the trailer that was.
It did feature the rock monster and the little blue aliens, and it looked all cutesy and lame, and just not.
I think maybe too.
funny.
It was kind of like maybe we thought it was like a Star Trek ripoff.
Yeah, because from what I recall, I don't know if the aspect of them being actors in a sci-fi television show, being sucked into space for real, was really even hinted at in the trailer. I
don't think it was.
I could be
out
wrong.
there doing their thing.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I think I remember being kind of surprised by the premise of the movie.
It's such a great premise, isn't it?
Oh
It's
yeah,
so funny.
amazing. And Sam Rockwell, of course, we talked about it 100
was
times.
Man,
breakout.
was that? Do you think that's his breakout role?
That and Green Mile, they came out the same year.
Yeah,
And Green Mile. I mean, what a depth! Yeah, his depth in that was huge. But
Wild Bill, good grief.
God,
In fact,
almighty.
he almost turned down Galaxy Quest because of Green Mile.
That's right. I remember hearing that. Thank God he didn't.
Man, I mean,
Do I have a first name? Do I?
When I just remember seeing him in that movie was like, holy crap, like a revelation. Like, who is this guy?
You know, talking about movies and Sam Rockwell, you know, look, I could probably go down a long list of Sam Rockwell movies, which are phenomenal. But Gentlemen Broncos was one of those movies that I really was entertained by, and mainly because of Sam Rockwell. I don't think it blew me away, but I was certainly entertained by it.
Oh, man.
But no, I'll tell you a movie that actually really blew me away that I was really entertained by, with Sam Rockwell in it, was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay,
I mean, I never read the book as a kid, and so many kids read that book, and I never read it. I just was reading other stuff, and it was like more serious sci-fi. But there was something so perfect about that book when I actually wound up reading it because of the movie. But that movie was hilarious, and the movie was so well like put together, and it was like the visuals are great, and Sam Rockwell was the genius in it as the president. I mean,
yeah,
that movie I had no interest in seeing or being a part of until I just wound up on cable one day and I saw it, and that blew me away too. But that was a good movie.
Oh yeah, that was another surprise to be sure.
But I tell you another, like a movie that I thought had a really great trailer.
Jaws: The Revenge
was Alien 3 had a great teaser trailer, and I remember it was in front of Terminator 2.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it the same time I saw the teaser for Star Trek 6, which had the best teaser of all time, where they were showing clips of
the TV show
series on the Enterprise. But Alien 3 had that great teaser, was said, in space no one can hear you scream, but on Earth everyone.
In 1979, we discovered in space no one can hear you scream. In 1992, we would discover on Earth, everyone can hear you scream.
And it really set you up for a really different type of movie than what you got. And I remember being in the theater, and within like the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh no.
Oh yeah, I saw that one in the theater too. I was really excited to see Alien 3. Aliens was. I saw Aliens before I saw Alien, actually, and I think they're both amazing movies. I mean, I think I prefer Aliens just because it was the first one I saw, and it's a little bigger in scope. It's got a little more action, but they're both amazing movies. But I remember thinking, oh my god, I can't believe they have another Alien coming out. And to your point, I was excited because I saw the trailer too. And what was it? Within the first 2 seconds, you learned that Newt and Hicks were.
Well,
were
I think
dead.
even before that, it was like, okay, why are there pods on the ship?
Yeah, instantly you're like, what? Yeah, it was a letdown.
I will say the movie itself has kind of grown on me over time.
It has its qualities, yeah.
I think I prefer the alternate cut that's available on Blu-ray, but man, seeing it the first time in the theater, it was hard to swallow.
That franchise fell down hard after that. It
I'll
just
tell you,
never picked up.
A movie that I thought had a terrible trailer and I ended up really loving was Fight Club.
Oh my god, that's the next one I was going to talk about. It's so funny
I
you
thought
said Fight Club.
the trailer was so awful. I had no
100%
interest in that
agree.
movie whatsoever.
They had
I
the
agree
trailer
100%.
in front of the Phantom Menace.
And it was so like, you're watching it like,
It was like, it made no sense to me. I'm like, and you know what? That's back when Brad Pitt was kind of on his real up and up. And maybe I was just rallying against him because like all the girls love Brad Pitt. I'm like, you know what? Screw that guy. Even though I actually thought he was a pretty good actor. But that's so funny you say that. I was thinking that Fight Club had such a lame trailer. And it wasn't until it came on cable that I was sitting there. It was like in the middle of the afternoon. I'm like, I'll watch Fight Club. What the heck? And the minute it started, I'm like, oh my
within
God.
the first 10 minutes, you're like,
so
hooked.
good. So good. I
Yeah,
really
it
like
was.
that.
In fact, someone must have let me borrow it because a friend of mine, I lived in an apartment. My friend lived in the apartment next to me. And I was like I said, I was like 10 or 15 minutes in the movie and I paused it and I went over next door. I said, dude, you got to come over and watch this. So he came over and I started it over and we watched the whole thing together.
I waited to see it at the Dollar Movie.
Maybe it was yours. I borrowed.
Yeah, I think it was because I got it on DVD and then let you borrow it. But yeah, I saw it at the Dollar Movie and I was like, holy crap, this movie's really good. And like you guys said, I saw The Phantom Menace a lot in the theater, and that trailer was always in front of it, and you have no context for it. And so it's just like Brad Pitt's with no shirt. There's this giant boulder rolling around.
Right.
Like, what is this?
Yeah, it just didn't make a lot of sense, and it didn't draw me in at all as a viewer. But boy, oh boy, that's a great. I think it's a great movie. Fight Club is one of my favorites.
And I remember when The Matrix came out, the trailer did not draw me in at all. I can't even remember anything about it. So I had no interest in it until a friend of mine, another friend of ours, Chris, he saw it and he was like, oh my gosh, this movie's so good. And that was another movie I went in and it just blew me away.
I don't remember the trailer for that.
I think it was like a whole, like, what is... I do remember it had Lawrence
Yeah.
Fishburne going, no one can be told what is the Matrix. And I'm thinking,
Right.
what? I don't
Right.
care what the Matrix is.
I'll throw a movie out that I went in with like, I'll say tempered expectations, but completely blew me away. And
What's that?
that was Rogue One.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I was excited for Rogue One. I had high expectations for Rogue One, and I had no idea how over those expectations that movie would go. That movie became one of my favorite Star Wars movies to date. Behind the original trilogy, it goes Rogue One. And I saw it with you, Jared,
Yes.
for the first time. And Jared, I have to give him credit. He was really good about not giving anything away, except the occasional like elbow nudge with a look being like, get ready. And that movie from start to finish just absolutely blew me away. All my expectations were like exceeded, and it was amazing. And I remember like when the Hammerhead Corvette took the Star Destroyer down, I was going out of my seat like a crazy chimpanzee. You know, when Vader
feces
got
at
on
the screen,
throwing my feces on amazement all over the screen. The Vader scene was amazing, as everyone knows.
yes,
But, I went into that one. I mean, that was how many years after
that was 1
Awakening.
year after Force Awakens.
after Force Awakens. So, and Force Awakens was good, but it wasn't like it didn't change my life.
Yeah, but
So,
it was 1 year later.
And that was the first spin-off Disney one that
Mhm.
Disney had made. So I had gone in there with like, I still wasn't sure that Disney had the reins on Star Wars, and to some extent they do and don't. But that movie was phenomenal. Rogue One was just a good example of a movie that just completely blew my expectations out of the water.
Well, what was interesting is the first trailer had a bunch of scenes that ended up not making it in the movie.
Right.
Mhm.
With that terrible line, was it?
I rebel.
Yeah, I rebel. And what's funny is at the time I know one of the editors on the movie, and he was kind of, he wasn't spoiling anything, but he was kind of giving me little hints, and I was like, man, that line is terrible. And he's like, oh, well then, yeah, I wouldn't worry about that line too much. So I knew that line had been excised.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also an editor on Suicide Squad, and he was kind of bracing me for impact on that one.
Actually, you've talked about that, to jump back to Suicide Squad. You mentioned that he had confidence in the footage of Suicide Squad. He just wasn't pleased with how they were arranging
What it
right?
was, no, what happened was he said the original cut that
David Ayer.
delivered was really good, but then the studio came in and they just completely fouled it up, which is what he's saying. He was telling me that then, and Arrow is saying that now.
Did that cut survive? I wonder.
I don't know, but I've got an interesting little deleted scene that
Oh yeah,
will definitely never make it to any
That's a great
Blu-ray.
scene.
I remember him. David Ayer was talking a little bit about it after Zack Snyder got a second swing at Justice League.
Mhm.
There was a little noise on the internet that they
were petitioning to get him to get his cut, which I feel like at this point they probably should let him.
Well,
because,
sure. I mean,
Because I think the Suicide Squad, I didn't really hate it until the end. But at the end, it turned into Ghostbusters.
Yes, 100%.
But it definitely had. I thought Will Smith was really good in it.
Yeah, there's a movie with a trailer that was a bit underwhelming, which a movie I saw later, which I thought was pretty good, was Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That's the name, versus the World, I think.
That's correct.
I thought the trailer was nonsensical, and I didn't really know what's going on with it. And I watched that one on a whim, and that one I was really entertained by that movie. I know a lot of people don't really care for it, but
yeah, that one didn't.
I thought it was pretty. It was much more clever than I expected it to be.
I was really looking for At World's End, and to me, the first half of the movie is like really good, but then once it gets to the aliens part. The movie just falls apart for me. I just
yeah, because you're right. Because Shaun of the Dead was great, and Hot Fuzz, which by the way grew on me. At first, I didn't think it was great, but the more I watch Hot Fuzz, the more brilliant it gets.
Hot Fuzz gets better with
every time you watch it,
viewings.
I laugh more. Yeah,
it does get better with each viewing.
Shaun of the Dead, I got right away. I liked it. Hot Fuzz, more viewers, but I've seen World's End a few times, and it's just it doesn't do much for me. I agree.
My favorite joke in that is when they get in the car and the music's playing, and they're like, "Oh, where'd you find that tape?" And he's like, "It was in the player." Like he never took it out.
Yeah, they're clever. They're clever movies.
One trailer I thought was interesting, but the movie was terrible. Was Mission Impossible 2. It was Tom Cruise in the trailer is doing some rock climbing and he almost falls and it's pretty intense. And I enjoyed the first one, and I thought, well, hey, this looks pretty great.
And it's John Woo. Look, if you've ever seen Hard Boiled, which is just like an amazing flipping movie.
Yeah, Mission Impossible 2 is one of the only movies that my wife. She's like, okay, I'm just about ready to leave, like in the middle of the movie. It's really terrible.
Yeah. Well, here I got one, and this one's you're gonna laugh at. As you know, I'm a Halloween fan. Oh wow, look what a coincidence!
No, I don't know about that.
Completely unplanned. The franchise up to a point was holding up. Like you had 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 was an unexpected surprise. 5 is when it started to go downhill. Well, 6 had a great trailer, and it was the origin of Michael Myers. That's the original title of the movie. That's not what they ended up changing it to The Curse of Michael Myers. It had this cool trailer, and I remember just being so stoked for that movie. I was just so excited. Because they had kind of opened it up. There was this cult involved, and I was like, oh, man, this is going to be so cool. And I went with a friend, and the theater was packed. I saw it on opening night, and, man, the theater was packed. And that was one. And it's funny, that's one of Paul Rudd's first movies.
Yes.
And
oh, yeah, he's in that. I totally forgot.
Man, I'd say that was one of those, like, 10 minutes in, you're like,
ah, crap.
What in the world is happening right now? And man, it was so bad. And the worst part, the guy that's playing Michael Myers was fat. So we were like joking, like, man, just throw a cheeseburger at him or something. That'll stop him. I mean, it was one of those we kind of started riffing on like halfway through the movie. I'll never forget, like, my friend Paul was with us, and the father that was in it, he was a abusive drunk. Well, he was abusive. And at one point he comes home, he opens a liquor bottle and starts drinking it. And my friend goes, another lovable attribute to this character.
Well, so that one came out in the mid 90s, right?
Yeah.
That was the last of the original
before 6. They did the first reboot.
Yes.
With Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, okay. So I got you.
But I was really excited for that movie, and it was just, it was just so bad. And it's really, there's an interesting story behind the making of that movie. But anyway, I digress.
The last one was, I'll tell you, is a trailer that I was actually both trailers that came out, I was super stoked for, but I still went in it with low expectations. And we've talked about this movie in the past, but the Mad Max Fury Road, both trailers, the second trailer especially, I thought was phenomenal. And my wife to this day still rags me out because I would be sitting like, I'm going to the bathroom, and she just hear that trailer on repeat for like 37 minutes. But like I went into the theater still after watching the trailers, kind of with like tempered expectations because I'm like, how good could it be? And that movie just absolutely was just a thrill ride from start to finish. And I remember walking out of that going, man, that was amazing. And I think I saw it, 3 times in the theater.
Oh, movie's amazing.
That's so much fun. And I made my whole family up here and my in-laws watch it. And they all looked at me at the end like, you are crazy. I'm like, what? It was a great movie.
Yeah, that movie.
You get it or you don't, but it was so good.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So, we had talked earlier about this show would be kind of like just a potpourri or a buffet of particular topics. One of those thrown out by Matt was, what movie have you seen that's really surprised you recently? A movie I've seen recently that I kind of thought I would enjoy, but I didn't realize how much I enjoy it, was Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Matt
seen it yet.
hasn't seen it. And I know Mike has.
It's fine. You can talk about it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you can talk about it, you jerks.
We don't have to talk about it too
much.
No.
I know a ton about the movie already, so you can just talk away. I'm still excited to see it. So
I thought I would enjoy it. I thought, but there was some trepidation. Like, how's this gonna go? The Legacy sequel isn't a slam dunk these days.
Well, okay, wait. Before you get really into it, let me just say, because the only thing I've obviously seen to this point are the trailers, and I remember thinking. It piqued my interest.
Yeah.
It piqued my interest. But I remember thinking, okay, well, is it just going to be is it like a Goonies now where like it's just a bunch of kids that take it over? And I'm like, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I'm like, is that where they were kind of going with it?
Nah, I don't think so.
There are elements of that, but I think just kind of organically, it's something different than that. Mm-hmm. It's not just, hey, we found all this cool equipment. Let's go, bust some ghosts.
It's more organic.
Yeah, and it's really interesting the way it's set up in that they call them in the movie the Manhattan Ghost Stories because, it's a real thing in this, in this particular cinematic world. These are things that really happened in the 80s. And, they're on YouTube and people can say, hey, yeah, that really happened. But by the time of this movie, it's, a lot of kids growing up, it's kind of fading from memory. Like they don't know who the Ghostbusters were. And, Paul Rudd's kind of he's really great in the movie. He usually is.
He's kind of like a Ghostbusters nerd.
Yeah. So he knows, he's like, what, you guys, he's talking to the kids in the film and he's like, you guys don't know about this? So he has to kind of educate them on who they were and, and of course, spoiler alert. Yeah, we'll talk a little spoilers here. We're following the family of Egon, who, as we all know, Harold Ramis passed away some years ago. And in the film, he is recently deceased. His daughter and her children are coming to kind of wrap up his affairs. But like I said, the kids don't really have any frame of reference for who he was or what he did. He wasn't really a part of their lives. It's funny, but it's not a comedy like Ghostbusters is. it certainly has.
No, it's a different type of movie.
It has comedic elements.
It's got a lot of heart to it.
Yeah, I would say.
Adds a little backstory to Gozer.
And I would say it's almost like you take, like we were talking, it's almost like the Creed movies are to Rocky IV. Afterlife kind of legitimizes and puts the original movies into a frame in a kind of a different frame of reference. Like, still it's the same people, the same world and everything.
It doesn't change anything.
No.
It doesn't make, like, Beckman a child molester or anything like that.
No. Well, thankfully. Although, certainly...
He's fucking the college girls over, though.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was going to say, he displayed some tendencies.
There's a great... they addressed that in a very funny way.
Yes. But it's no spoiler. Well, perhaps it is a spoiler, but not by now. We do see the original Ghostbusters show up. And one thing I was pissed about, and I told you guys this a while ago, something that was spoiled for me months ago, back in the spring or early summer, I saw at Target the toys for this film.
Right.
And it was the original 3 remaining Ghostbusters in their Ghostbusters gear. And I was like, well, I knew that they were going to be in it, but I didn't know in what capacity. But hey, I guess they're going to be showing up in their Ghostbusters gear, busting ghosts. And I really wish I hadn't seen that in the toy aisle at Target. That would have been a great thing to preserve for the movie itself.
Oh, that's like when I saw Giant Man for Civil War on a Legos box. That made me so mad.
Oh, yes, that's when he grew tall. Yeah, that was on a Lego box. That was kind of a surprise as well. Again, Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd. What is it with Paul Rudd?
Well, I was going to say a movie that really surprised me that I really enjoyed. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a sweet movie. Was Free Guy.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
Free Guy was really a really fun movie. Without sounding cliche, it was like a feel good movie.
Yeah.
It was very similar to a lot of other movies we've seen with that similar story, but I think of all the ones I've seen, that one pulled it off the best. It was very similar to, in fact, it was kind of similar to Ready Player One, which, I was very disappointed with
Ready Player One missed the mark. It was just more of a fan service movie than it was a good written movie. They as much fan service as they could throw in there. But I've heard Free Guy is good.
Yeah, the idea is, Ryan Reynolds' character decides to level up by being good, and it's really cute the way they do it. It's fun to watch. And I took my boys, and there was all kinds of references to these YouTubers I had completely over my head, and they're sitting next to me going, "Oh my gosh, it's such and such! Oh my gosh, it's such and such!" And I'm like, I guess it'd be if they were talking about Elvis Presley, they'd be like, "Who?" Well, no, they know who Elvis Presley is. I take that back, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it based on your recommendation, Mike, because when I saw the trailer, and again, back to this. The trailer, I thought, well, Ryan Reynolds is funny. He's a charismatic guy and he's fun to watch. But I thought, well, this is not something I'm going to pay money to watch. I mean, I'll wait for, on demand or whatever. But, based on your recommendation, I checked it out and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's funny, too, because I don't know if you guys saw the Ryan Reynolds and Taika Waititi did Deadpool and Korg doing commentary on the trailer.
I think I did see that.
And I thought, man,
funny.
This is real. And what I thought when I was watching it, it's like, this is what this movie is going to be remembered for. Because this is hilarious. And even Ryan Reynolds is like, as Deadpool, he's like, this looks okay in a, 20th Century Fox Disney fire sale kind of way.
It's funny you bring that up because talking about Mission Impossible 2, as terrible as that movie was, the best thing that came out of that movie was that MTV skit with
Ben Stiller.
You remember where he was the stuntman, Tom Cruise?
It was so terrible. But
bad.
It was funny. It was funny as heck, but that was great.
Yeah.
Well, I got one that was a real surprise for me.
What's that?
Shang-Chi.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
you like that one.
Yeah,
But you don't hear about that. It just kind of like came and went.
I had low expectations.
Mhm.
And that's another movie. It was just really fun to watch. The character was the actor, which came out of nowhere. I thought he was very charismatic, and then of course the big surprise, that they brought back. Should I say it?
Sure. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Ben Kingsley
From Iron Man 3.
as the Mandalorian.
The Mandarin.
The Mandarin, that's right. Not the Mandalorian. That's
way.
another. The Mandarin, which was a great way to wrap up this story.
That's the thing. I had no idea that Ben Kingsley was going to be in that movie.
No, I didn't either.
It wasn't promoted. It wasn't hyped. And then all of a sudden, halfway through the movie, you hear this crazy man screaming from another room. And you're like, is that? And then they walk in, and it's Ben Kingsley completely...
Trevor.
Yeah, Trevor Slattery. He's a total mess, and he's like...
Yeah, they were going to kill him,
And then-
but then he started doing, he started doing a play or something,
Yeah,
so they decided to keep him alive.
They kept him alive like a court jester or something. So,
Oh my God.
So that was a good way because the Mandarin is kind of the big baddie in this movie, and he played that different version of the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, so it was a good way to kind of bring it all back.
And to appease the big babies who are crying around about what they did in Iron Man 3, which I thought was just pure genius.
I think Iron Man 3 is great. It's a
It
lot of
is.
people.
It's one
It's
of
on
the best ones.
It's on the bottom of their lists.
They're insane. They're nuts.
But man, when he walks out of that bathroom in Iron Man 3, like waving his robe, going, "Oh, don't go in there! Oh," and he's been this really menacing, terrible person throughout the whole movie. You're like, what? I thought that was a stroke of genius. It was great. So yeah, I enjoyed Shang-Chi too. I thought it was a lot of fun. And Terry's watched it on repeat on Disney Plus.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because she's very much into these Korean dramas on YouTube and martial arts, and she just watches that thing on loop.
Well, not that it's a movie, but we briefly talked about it. But Squid Game
Oh, Squid Game.
was
Fantastic.
really a surprise.
See,
Really
now I haven't
surprise.
watched it yet, and I know that's to my detriment.
Listen.
But
It's so it got a lot of negative press because of the violence, but the violence is secondary. I mean, it's not even like
It's the tension they build in that show.
Yeah,
it's so brilliant.
but-
And the characters
well,
are good. I mean,
it's got one of the best character arcs I've seen in a very long time.
yeah. And I have to give anybody some advice if you're planning on watching it, try and watch it in the Korean version. In the,
Do not
the
watch
natural
English
Korean.
dub.
Don't watch
Do
the
not
English
watch
dub
English
over.
dub.
It's so much better once you get used to reading the subtitles. It's
You
so
get the
much better.
performance.
Yeah,
And there's some strong performances in it.
Yeah,
you
it's-
don't want to miss out on that.
But that show, I really didn't ever read on it. It just was it was out around me, and I kept hearing about Squid Game.
yeah, it
And
was
I
one
didn't
of
see any
those.
trailers, but it was an internet buzz, that
Mhm.
you kept hearing about. So on a whim, I just okay, I'll check it out. And he was like, oh my God.
yeah,
so
Matt actually watched it first, and but Matt has a funny way of like, yeah, it was pretty good.
Well, you know what it is.
I'm like, okay.
I try and really tell you guys I love stuff, and you're like, you know what? I don't want to hear stuff.
And then I'm watching it,
I
and
get
I'm
bashed
like,
on the
and
chain.
I'm the opposite. When I love something, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. And
I
Matt's
didn't
like,
want to oversell it because I
know.
know if I oversell something, you guys will be like, you know what? That sucked. It was awful. You're a bad person. So I didn't oversell it, but I was very excited about it, and I'm glad Mike. As soon as Mike liked it, then I jumped on. Like I could be excited now. Thank God.
Yeah. And it's one I still
And for a
need to
little
watch.
while, every time I would get up around my apartment and walk around and do something, I'd be like, beep.
I bet you were too. No, you should put that on the list, Jared. It's
Yes.
it's worth the watch.
I need to.
It's worth the watch, and you power through it, and it's entertaining. There's no. I don't think there was a slow episode in the bunch. So, and they dovetail into each other, and it's just
By the time you get halfway through, it's really hard to like stop.
oh man,
Wow.
real hard.
I'm just gonna say the marble episode. Oh man,
Yeah, that's
that's one of
a
the
hard
best
one. That's a hard one.
episodes of TV I've seen in a long time.
Wow.
A lot of great acting in it. And like I said, you have to watch it in Korean because you're going to miss out on some amazing performances if you just watch the English dub. And if English is really what you're waiting for, there are some English parts in the movie which are not the best acted.
Oh my gosh,
makes it even more
terrible.
funny because
You get to hear what South Koreans think we sound like when we
that's
talk.
It's the best part. You get an actual snapshot of what of South Korea thinks Americans talk like from American actors, and it's so great. It's great.
Awful. Yeah, you'd think these guys would be like, "Oh yeah, we wouldn't really talk like that."
But it's great. It's almost like you hear about like when they dub Star Wars into Japanese.
Yes.
And then they redub it back to English from the Japanese, and that's
how
it sounds.
It's all,
gibberish.
It's broken and it's weird and it's great.
Which reminds me, if you haven't seen those Star Wars videos on YouTube,
they're so good.
Where
they're so good.
They take the Chinese translation and take it back to English, or they're Chinese bootlegs or something.
It's exactly what it is. Yeah,
it's so horrible.
Maybe in our next season, maybe we'll do a commentary on those versions of Star Wars.
Good, you beat the inside. Good kind of R2. I feel far from good. R2, come back. I need you foolish and ship.
Yeah, they're just saying nonsense.
It's so much fun.
Real quick, I do want to mention one other thing I saw.
Which one?
Recently. Jared already seen the What If series.
Oh,
I thought that was really good. I was really surprised. I was really holding out on it, but when I finally got around to it, I was glad I watched it. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
and now they're all kind of standalones, right? You don't have to.
Well, they are, but then they tie together.
Do they? All right.
And the Thor episode. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there is
awesome.
some really funny stuff in there.
It's almost like a continuation of Ragnarok in some ways.
And in most cases, the voice talent returns. So you got Chris Hemsworth being a goofball, and it's really good stuff. And the animation is really brilliant.
I gotta watch.
It's like some kind of hybrid, like hand-drawn looking, but CG animated. It
almost looks rotoscope.
Yeah, it's really gorgeous stuff. I mean, it's good stuff.
And I'll tell you one thing too. It's a great send off for Chad Boseman.
Yeah, because he does.
He returns as Black Panther, and it feels like almost like they made it for him in some ways.
Yeah, it's really well
a way
done.
of saying goodbye.
And Kurt Russell's in it for 2 lines.
Oh, really?
He comes back as Ego and says like 2 things. Hey, really? Kurt Russell, we got Kurt Russell.
All right, so in our season 5 interim here, before we do season 5 2.0, I've got some stuff to catch up on and watch.
Yes, absolutely.
So does Jared.
Yes,
but no,
I do too.
I hope, guys, I hope you're enjoying season 5. We're not done yet with season 5. We got a lot more coming up. Like we said earlier, the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
will drop with our Carbonite Chronicles series very soon. That show starts up in about a week and a half.
Yeah,
and cannot wait.
I am Boba Fett.
I am Boba Fett.
Have you seen those commercials where he's saying that?
It's unbelievable.
Okay, I think he's emulating the line from the holiday special, where he goes, "I am Boba Fett."
Oh yeah, I'm sure you're absolutely right.
He says the same inflection. I am Boba Fett.
I am Boba Fett. I am Boba Fett.
I'm gonna watch that and the holiday special thing back to back as soon as we're off.
Does he start calling everyone friend?
Hello, friend.
Hello, friend.
Yeah,
I am Boba Fett. You have to be right. Of course, you're right.
Of course,
and
because
there's other stuff that we're not gonna talk about because Mike's on a embargo.
Yeah, I'm no longer watching trailers.
Oh crap! Yeah, Matt, like what I sent you the other day from that other trailer.
Jeez, I don't know if we should do Carbonite Chronicles or another series, but let me tell you, that's going to be something to listen to. That's going to be a podcast you cannot miss.
Yes,
we're going to be spoiling everything. So if you're not watching the Book of Boba Fett, just listen to our podcast. You're going to get it all anyway, and more. But season 5 rolls on. We hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday and a great new year. We'll be back very soon.
Back in black.
I am Boba Fett. I am Boba Fett.
is what is the row?
Always is a R2 to come to.
Do not take the elevator to do the game.
Is all a disaster that R2 asked for.
Did you make the ghost?
I wanted not to.
You too careful. He is a big.
Mr. Speaker, we are for the big.
You know you can't live without this content, so subscribe to The Hyperspace, podcasting in the 25th century. Follow us on social media, leave us a review, and join us here next time as we take you into the 25th century.